Alright. Let's finish this fight. We are in Azric's ship after completing all the mission shit. So in the end of Doom Eternal, wow, Doom the Dark Ages, you can tell which one's still kind of my favorite. I think Eternal still. Oh, we'll talk about all that at the end. But anyway, in the end of Doom the Dark Ages, it seems like you are going to have an abundance of 602 gold, 5 rubies, and 1 of those Wraith stones. This is where it's all made, baby. Fucking sick, dude.
Kill him. Avenge your god.
We need Big Boom for this one. Probably swords. Why am I missing that one, dude?
As long as I live, the old one can still be resurrected. I command the Horde. Kill me, and this war will never end.
And I guess it's never gonna end, my friend. Every weapon got its mobile. Fuck yeah. Well, the classes at least. Oh, let's fucking go, dude. Dude, fuck yes, dude. Fuck yes. Oh my god, this game was so good. And it's not over. We still have DLCs to do one day. Fuck yes. Oh man. That was fun. I had a lot of fun with this.
Any word? No one has seen him since the assault. We are much better off with him on his own. And you, young Sentinel. Your father tells me great things about you.
Thank you, sir.
The Maker's Church has disavowed all actions taken by the Creed. They give their word he was acting alone, and they'll bring justice to anyone that collaborated with them. We'll move forward with our own Inquisition, quietly.
It is time to look forward. We will always be a people of faith. But we must consider now who we will put that faith in. And I say to you, there is no better place to turn to than ourselves. This is our home, and we will stand together to the last sentinel to defend it. As we have before, as our ancestors did. As we always will. And lastly, I'll ask you to join me now in paying our respect to him. The people of Argent D'Nur rest easier now, knowing he is out there.
Yeah.
Oh, good job.
I texted you.
Oh,
I said, you want to swim? I said, you want to swim?
I gotta go to bed soon. I gotta go back in tonight. Do you want to make yours right now?
If you want. I was gonna make it after I was done. All right, let the credits run and then kind of give a little afterthought for this. Like I say, right now it's really good. Had a lot of fun with this one. Yeah, we'll just let it run and then see if there's any kind of end credit scene or something, just kind of like how they always been doing with these games. Nightmare. Really like a different shade of Executioner. I see what they did there. Still with the Slayer symbol on the helmet, though. That's pretty cool. Well, not a enthusiastic ending, more like how Eternal did, like the little zombie playing with the action figures thing or whatever. I think that's the most disappointing part of the game so far. Is just the UI of the screens and just like the enjoyment factor. You know, they took this one a lot more serious, which is cool, but a little disappointing too at the same time, knowing what we knew from Eternal. I think a more deep dive and probably a more let me rest on it and post type of thing will be needed to kind of discuss the feelings of this game. I can automatically say right now that I think Eternal still reigns champion as far as the best Dooms of the new trilogy. The Dark Ages is definitely in the 2 slot. Like I feel bad for 2016. I think 2016 is really like below standard now compared to these 2 games, but I think we'll deep dive more into why that is. The Dark Ages, for what it is though, is in its own class. I would like, if I had to, it'd be like 1A and 1B, because I enjoy both in a different way. I know I'm like I think just from the channel alone, you see that I'm really into like the fantasy and the medieval stuff a lot, so typically this one would catch my heart a lot more, but there's just something about Eternal that is a lot more different, and then how this one was made is different as well, but I don't know. Like I said, more post type of, just need to sleep on it, gather my thoughts a little bit better. But initial reaction is that this game was definitely 10 out of 10 value. Like all the Metacritic, Let's Play, you know, all that kind of stuff, everything. It is a must play for sure. Not a bad Doom at all. The action was intense, like from chapters. Shit, I want to say the game really started to pick up a lot in the Siege parts. Like Siege 1 and 2 and on were all pretty ramped up. Whereas, you know, you got tutorial, like both the first 2 levels were all tutorial. Okay, let's say the first 3 levels were all tutorial levels. I think Barrier Core is probably the worst level of the entire experience so far. But that's because they were just trying to teach us the mech and it was just super linear. You only fought like 7 demons or whatever, and that was pretty much it. Weapon variety was outstanding. I think, you know, and I showcased like every single weapon, or at least its class, in the final battle against Azrakir. So they all have a general use. I think that's better than Eternal, for sure. Eternal was like, it was just Arbalest and, you know, switch over to the frickin' Super Shotgun. And then in this run, I did use the Super Shotgun a lot for the majority. Obviously, it's like the most popular weapon of the Doom franchise. And I just use it like pretty much in every game. So I couldn't get away from using it in this one. And once again, it just rained. I mean, it's a one-hit kill shot. It damages the bigger demons really fast. The upgrades were fine enough for it this time around. But yeah, the idea was that you could use any weapon in the game this time around. Some fit different parts of the, you know, battles differently. I didn't really use the rail spike a lot. I didn't really know how to use that thing at all. Because Doom's not really like a aim for the head and try to headshot people type of game. It's more just mass chaotic fields of trying to trying to dodge everything and eliminate giant groups of enemies all at once, and there was never really a situation where you were kind of stuck in a one-on-one with most demons. And when you were, they were like the champion versions, and they didn't really take damage for shit because they really wanted you to hone in on the melee stuff. 3 melee options were very good. I think the DLC is probably going to introduce more, I would have to think. I think the fists were definitely the least used in my arsenal, and I probably should have used it more during the one-on-one encounters. The mace, though, the flail was super good. I just couldn't get away from using that. It's a good crowd destroyer. You get your armor back and all that kind of stuff, so it's very resource heavy. And then the mace is obviously for like those bosses with the giant health bars and stuff like that. That's kind of what it's designed as for. So you put all the arsenal together and you just start finding ways to kind of melt these demons. I think right now, Ultra Nightmare is not unobtainable, but I do know that there's going to be hiccups in the later chapters for sure. Like I said, we ended up with like 500 gold, 3 rubies, and a Wraith Stone extra, and that's doing 100% through the entire game. So you have to kind of pick and choose. The Wraith Stones are, without a question, you have to do pretty much every single one of them if you want to get max upgrades. Rubies, you can only probably, get away with just not doing about 3 of them. So you're going to have to do 100% playthrough if you want max upgrades. And Ultra Nightmare is going to be kind of difficult to achieve that, because some of those challenge gates are optional and they are very difficult. And it really sucks to lose a run like that when you're doing optional shit. It's kind of like the Slayer gates from Eternal. You don't have to do them, but you can do them for like the extra like weapon points or whatever. So you have to kind of really pick and choose your battles. The idea of the VFC was really nice. I really liked the fact that they honed in on that a lot more this time. Like, I felt like you were kind of restricted in using the BFG and Eternal a lot. There were like a few levels where it was okay to use it, but then there's just some situations where you're just like, I gotta hold on to this ammo because I know I ain't gonna get shit back for a long time. And that was usually like towards the end of the game. But since they introduced it in the Spire, it was like every single level since then always had a pickup or a situation where you could use it, and I used it pretty prominently this time, so that was really fun. The challenges were all good. I don't think there was a single challenge that was kind of like really difficult to achieve. Really, I think that they were all within reason. They didn't make you go outside, like do a fucking 360 no scope or some shit like that. Like, you didn't have to 5 headshots with a rail spike or some shit like that. You didn't have to do nothing like that. So the idea is like, it's not really like a true FPS kind of game. It was more about the melee combat and jumping off of high things, stomping the demons around, and just smashing through with the shotgun and shit like that. Which is completely different from Eternals, like just super jet speed, jump all over the fucking place, and one-on-one demons with different types of weapons and trying to pick off their weak points or whatever. I think Ultra Violence, though, is definitely the middle of the ground for any veteran of the series. It was difficult at times. There were some instances where I just completely lost like all my lives. We never really got to a game over screen, but I have game overed in Nightmare for sure. The jump from Nightmare to Ultra Violence is kind of crazy. It's a lot more intense in Nightmare because the enemies are always throwing shit at you. Like, especially imps. Imps are probably going to end runs like no tomorrow. They just keep throwing those fucking barriers at you, and you're just like, dude, oh my god. And there's not really a good way to avoid that. other than just kind of smashing through them and waiting for your shield to recharge. Or just, you know, probably utilizing the different weapons that I didn't use, like the pulverizer for one. I didn't really use that a lot for the smaller groups because I didn't understand the weapon that well. And I think more playthroughs will kind of help that out. But I think I'm going to finish my Nightmare, kind of get a feel for how that's going to end out. The final, like, 3 boss fights are going to be what break the game. You're either going to do it or you're just not going to fucking do it. The Creedmaker fight sucks. It's all about where he's at and how to deal with his minions. And then Enhanced Azric, that shit's going to be how much of a parry, like, parry god you can be. And then that final fight between the Witch and Azric was pretty easy. You just have to keep your distance from one or the other when they're shielded up. And then avoid all the bullshit. It was more bullet hell dodging. So I like the variation. It wasn't just the same thing over and over again. There was a lot of variation between all the boss fights. I think there was plenty of demons. Clearly they did not bring as many back. They just put a lot of them on screen. They weren't playing with that. They put like hundreds of these fuckers all over the place. So that was very unique and different for this Doom for sure. Because you couldn't just key in on, you know, one thing without having to worry about like 100 other things behind you. And they were like just shooting shit at you from behind. So it's going to get pretty difficult to do the Ultra Nightmare run. Probably because you have to like pace yourself. You can't just do it in one day. But at the same time, you can't like play it for a day and then not come back and do Ultra Nightmare 4 days later. It's just, this isn't that type of game where you can just be like, yeah, okay. It's very rhythmic. If you don't do it, you're not going to get it. Like, continuously. But the first one is going to be Pandemonium first, because I think that this is the gateway into Ultra Nightmare. You get a pretty sick suit with this one. It's like more of like a platinum suit, and then you get the gold suit with this one. But Pandemonium is, you'll still get the life sigils, but when you die, you have to restart the entire chapter, which is going to be a fucking nightmare. But it's better than restarting the entire game all over again, because that's what they're trying to do, is train you in each level so you get your shit straight. And I can already tell you where my faults are going to be in like almost every single one of these levels, you know. And the one that I think the most practice needs to be given is definitely within the Cosmic Realm areas, because these were like the true difficulty spikes right here. The Spire was pretty hard, but everything since the city of Ryul was really difficult. And the biggest problem is falling for the same shit. Like, timing is very important, because when those soldiers start shooting off their beam rays and shit like that, you can put your shield up and charge right through them, but if they shoot it at the same time when you're trying to like recover, you just lose everything all at once. And that was like a continuous problem the entire game. It's just so hard not to do that sometimes, because you have to make a choice because you get backed up in a corner so much. I ended up finding ways around the heavier demons though, or kind of the medium ones, I would say, like the Revenant and the Whiplash and all that stuff. It's basically just shield charge into them, throw your shield, stun them, and then just blast them down. The bigger boys though, those ones they're just parry test. There's really nothing you can do. Just bring out your rocket launcher and play it smart. Parry. Get your best melee option in there, and then just kind of utilize the arena in the correct way. That's why they put mass hordes of like zombies and soldiers around them, because you're supposed to utilize those guys as like HP regeneration and shield regeneration. So there's a lot of areas too where the BFC was probably going to be needed. And it's going to be all about remembering where you have your reloads at. That's where it all really comes down to. The worst enemy by far to fight is probably going to be the Komodo, because that fucker is all over the place. and the shoulder cannon with the giant meteors is ridiculous. Sometimes their parry window though kind of escapes you. They seem like a little bit of a bugged enemy to me, because sometimes they'll poke you and you'll perfectly block it, but it goes right like over your head or something like that, and it just still does damage, and you'll get the sound and the trigger that you blocked it, and then it's, I don't know, but you'll just still take damage. So I don't know what's up with them. They're just one of those types, you know, they're like a marauder basically. You either get it or you don't. I can see a lot of bullshit's gonna need to be tweaked. But if anyone beats the Ultra Nightmare and you get all that shit before the patches, then hey, that's good too. Alright. Hey, initial thoughts, that's pretty much it. Like I said, really great game. I really enjoyed this one. The shield saw was probably the best weapon out of all the entire arsenal. I think the shield saw was the biggest fucking thing. It was really cool just kind of jumping into the fray and mad dashing around with this thing and just kind of throwing it at everybody. It was super sick. So I wish the shield and God of War had the same utility, but you know, we had the axe, so that was, you know, hopefully they bring like an axe into this game for the DLC. I don't know. I don't really know where we're going to go with the DLC. I guess it's just going to show how he got put in the coffin, because we didn't really get to see that. He just kind of took over the Maker ship and is still hunting demons, because he's just insane like that. But if I had to guess, I'm thinking DLC is probably going to hone in and focus more on the Valen part and, you know, how he got his nickname, the Betrayer, and stuff like that. And from what the director said, it's supposed to be a pretty meaty, giant DLC as well. So we're definitely going to be getting Doom content for probably the rest of the year. How many DLCs exactly? I don't know. Maybe 1, maybe 2. Hopefully they start doing other stuff like Horde mode and, you know, all that kind of thing. Just like they did with Eternal. It takes a while though. It's going to be about a year, 2 years before they actually get this game up and running. But for now, we have a campaign to actually master. Just by playing the campaign alone and 100%ing the entire campaign of it, I already got 90% of achievements achieved. So all that's left is really just doing it on Ultra Nightmare and Pandemonium. And I think getting all the weapon masteries. So like 3 trophies are left or something like that. 3 or 4. So this game's really not going to be hard to platinum at all. It's just going to be practice over and over again and not losing a run because you're tired or, you know, you make a critical error here and there, which is going to happen. Eternal's Ultra Nightmare, I didn't finish that for years. So we'll be alright though. We'll get it. But that was the Dark Ages. Had a lot of fun with it. And we will boot up a Pandemonium run, and probably going to do those live type things, because I don't want to make episodes and then all of a sudden I die and it's all over and done with, and then we just lose that content forever, so I'm just not even going to bother with that shit. Or I might just not do it at all and just do it on my own time like I always do. Alright, thanks for the journey. Hopefully we can keep this going. I don't know where they're going to go with it after Eternal. Maybe in the future, but, you know, for now we're stuck in the past. So thanks for watching, and see you again.